बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम। DTVNN की अहम रिपोर्ट के साथ मैं हूं नादिया राजपूत। तारीखी दिन नेचुरलाइजेशन डे 17 सितंबर को ह्यूस्टन ने शहरियत के सफ़र में एक और संगे मील उबूर किया है। ये शहर अमेरिका में नेचुरलाइजेशन के हवाले से नंबर 1 बनने की जानिब मुसलसल बढ़ रहा है। बेले बुलवर्ड पर वाक़ साउदर्न चाइनीज़ न्यूज़ ग्रुप में ह्यूस्टन कोएलिशन ऑफ मीडिया ने हमारी मतनू कम्युनिटी की हर आवाज़ को एक साथ यकजा किया। इस तकरीब का उन्वान था ह्यूस्टन की नेचुरलाइजेशन की जद्दोजहद, हम कहाँ खड़े हैं और हमें कहाँ जाना है। इसमें शहरियत हासिल करने की ख्वाहिश रखने वाली बरादरियों के लिए इज्तमाई ताउन को उजागर किया गया। इस मुबाहसे की मेज़बानी सैंडी क्लोज और नकिया कूपर ने की, जबकि माहिरीन में शामिल थे कनीशा एलन डेलबर्ग डिज़ाइन, सलीमू अली मासी को एफ्रो कम्युनिटी सेंटर, जेनेट डी बूट पीपल SOS ह्यूस्टन, NG डुप्री नेशनल पार्टनरशिप फॉर न्यू अमेरिकन्स, ज़नूबिया लाई ह्यूस्टन इमिग्रेशन लीगल सर्विसेज कोलैबोरेटिव, एशली बोर्जान लिटरेसी काउंसिल ऑफ फोर्ट बेंट काउंटी। इनके ख्यालात को मज़ीद मौसर बनाया इमैनुअल और नॉर्मा मेलेंजेस की ज़ाती कहानियों ने, जिन्होंने सबको याद दिलाया कि ये अमल सिर्फ एक कानूनी मरहला नहीं बल्कि इंसानी पहलुओं से भरपूर है। आज ह्यूस्टन अमेरिका में शहरियत की दरख्वास्तों और नेचुरलाइजेशन के लिहाज से दूसरे नंबर पर है और माहिरीन पुरउम्मीद हैं कि ये शहर जल्द ही पहले नंबर पर आ जाएगा। आज रात ह्यूस्टन की नस्ली अक़लियती और तारकीन वतन बरादरियों की ताकत का जश्न मनाते हैं, जो हाथों में हाथ डालकर एक ऐसे मुस्तकबिल के लिए काम कर रहे हैं जहां शहरियत सब के लिए काबिल रसाई हो। डेनेला मेलेंजेस कम्युनिटी और हार्टलाइन ऑपरेटर ह्यूस्टन इमिग्रेशन लीगल सर्विसेज कोलैबोरेटिव में काम करती हैं। वो लोगों को इमिग्रेशन वसाइल से जोड़ती हैं और यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ ह्यूस्टन और रेले ग्रेजुएट स्कूल ऑफ एजुकेशन से डिग्रियां हासिल कर चुकी हैं। इमैनुअल मेलेंजेस स्टोरी टेलर और कम्युनिटी पादरी जो गुज़श्ता 25 बरस से अमेरिका में मुकीम हैं, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के तौर पर काम करते हैं और अपने ख़ानदान और चर्च कम्युनिटी की भरपूर खिदमत करते हैं। नॉर्मा मेलेंजेस स्टोरी टेलर निगहदाश्त करने वाली और रिटायर्ड टीचर हैं। वो भी 25 बरस से ज़्यादा अरसे से अमेरिका में हैं और बच्चों और बुज़ुर्गों की देखभाल के साथ साथ अंग्रेज़ी ज़बान की क्लासेस के ज़रिए अपनी तालीम जारी रखे हैं। कनीशा एलन डेलबर्ग डिज़ाइन में कम्युनिटी कोलैबोरेशन लीड, जिन्हें तालीम और सिविल इंगेजमेंट में 20 साल से ज़ायद का तजुर्बा है, वो ह्यूस्टन एंडोवमेंट के साथ एक अहम शराकतदारी की क़यादत कर रही हैं, जिसका मकसद शहरियत के मसावी रास्ते फराहम करना है। सलीमू अली मासी को एफ्रो कम्युनिटी सेंटर के एग्जेक्टिव के साथ ग्रास CWS डायरेक्टर और रूट ऑर्गेनाइज़र, वो सकाफती विरसे के तहफ़्फ़ुज़, तनु और तारकीन वतन की कम्युनिटी को बाइख्तियार बनाने के लिए सरगर्म हैं। जेनेट डी बूट पीपल SOS ह्यूस्टन की एग्जेक्टिव डायरेक्टर, वियतनाम से ताल्लुक़ रखने वाली जेनेट 2008 से वियतनामी और दीगर तारकीन वतन बरादरियों की खिदमत कर रही हैं। इससे पहले वो बैंकारी के शोबे में काम कर रही थी। NG डुप्री नेशनल पार्टनरशिप फॉर न्यू अमेरिकन्स में सिटीजनशिप कोऑर्डिनेटर, जो नेचुरलाइज नाउ ह्यूस्टन इक़दाम की सरबराही कर रही हैं, वो महकमा इंसाफ की मंजूर शुदा नुमाइंदा हैं और कई सालों से मुहाजिरीन और तारकीन वतन की मुआवनत कर रही हैं। ज़नूबिया लाई ह्यूस्टन इमिग्रेशन लीगल सर्विसेज कोलैबोरेटिव की एग्जेक्टिव डायरेक्टर, इमिग्रेशन लॉ में 3 दहाइयों से ज़्यादा का तजुर्बा रखती हैं और कम्युनिटी लॉयरिंग अप्रोच के लिए जानी जाती हैं, जिसका मकसद तारकीन वतन बरादरियों के लिए इंसाफ तक रसाई बढ़ाना है। एशली बोर्जान लिटरेसी काउंसिल ऑफ फोर्ट बेंट काउंटी में एडल्ट एजुकेशन डायरेक्टर, वो डिजिटल लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम्स, करियर कोचिंग और वर्क फोर्स तैयारी की क़यादत करती हैं और साथ ही मवाद तख्लीक और कारोबार में भी सरगर्म हैं।
All right, center. And to your right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Say that legally they cannot do it. right? Whatever examination, unless it's fraud, when the person applies for citizenship, misrepresentation, fraud, omission, they cannot go back to say that you said something bad about, the president back in 1945, and that would be a bad reflection of your good moral character, right? As the law stands, everyone apply for citizenship, they have to submit fingerprints. So any of the things that would implicate on a person's good moral character, they have vetted it. They decided that, I was eligible for citizenship. I didn't misrepresent anything. I said I was who I was, and they couldn't say that I wasn't. They can then go back and say, hey, now you are the executive director of this Immigration Legal Services Collaborative. You are supporting immigrants. We don't like it, and we want to strip your citizenship. By law, quote, they cannot do that.
But they can make you in life hell doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Look, let's end with the good news. One, today is National Citizenship Day. A village has grown and is growing to support more people to become citizens. And guess what? Houston is ahead of all other cities in the push for naturalization. That is an amazing story by itself. Then here are the challenges, because of course as journalists we never like just one thing. We like in the whole idea of the word essay. Essay is French for wrestling. We like to wrestle with ideas. There was plenty to wrestle with at today's briefing. So we have a great amount of information and a great media cohort here committed to this, and we're so grateful to our sources. Thank you. Please grab a lunchbox. Please know Melinda's family, thank you for giving us the story of successful crossing the line. You're next, and then you. Tell us who you're with.
Hi everyone, my name is EJ Roses. I did have a question though in regards to moral character. How is that being defined? I know that you mentioned that they're viewing people's social media. I know that it could be a given, but any political stance affect that, even though we have freedom of speech? And does sexuality come in fact or take effect in those decisions as well?
You mean gender identity?
Sexuality and gender identity.
Okay, sorry, because my language is that of an old person. Okay.
So there is a whole volume in the USCIS practice manual that talk about good moral character. So there is like a long list of, permanent bar. What are the criminal activities or convictions that are, a permanent bar? I mentioned murder a lot because that's the first one on the list. So it doesn't matter how long ago that happened, the person will not be eligible for applying for citizenship. And then there is another chapter about conditional laws. That list is very long, right? That lists a lot of different criminal activities that would get a person subject to conditional law. Conditional meaning that there is a time frame that, that if you are beyond that time frame, that should not affect your ability to apply for citizenship. But under the latest policy manual update a month ago, it kind of elevated the discretionary power of the immigration officer. So not only that you have to show that you have no bad reflection on your good moral character based on the traditional list, but you also have to establish the positive attributes. That is not defined, and we have to still try to figure out how is it being implemented during the citizenship interview. And it varies from officer to officer, right? You could have really good very follower officers that don't throw anyone curveballs and just follow, what they're supposed to do. But you have a 50-50 chance of getting someone who wants to pull out everything that is not even in their life. We don't think to kind of question you. Right? So it's something that we have to learn how is it being implemented.
Okay. We have very patient media colleagues and speakers. 2 more burning questions you have them look forward to. I'll go first with you. Can we make it?
Yeah, we'll make it short. Okay, so my first part of the question is, what does that hotline entail? What information is given? Is there a follow-through, a follow-up with these people who call? Because with my nonprofit, we're doing a series of Know Your Rights, Workers Over Billionaires. So we want to canvass businesses to have signage and posters up about their rights. So if there's ways that we can all, even Pakistani media, engage to come together to get these businesses, these canvassing packages, and how can we utilize that hotline to do so? And then with all of our collective knowledge here, how can we, like this gentleman said, how can we come together in moments of like this to where, say my nonprofit is doing this series, how can we all be there to support that series and to support businesses and canvas and volunteer for that?
So lunch will be a perfect opportunity to do it. But if anybody...
That first part of the question about
the hotline.
So the hotline, we take thousands of calls through the year, and there are an array of questions. It can be very simple yes or no questions, and it can sometimes be more complex questions, which we will get follow-up if we need to find more information on it. I know that every operator takes it very personally in a way that they put so much care into it, so they know that everyone who's calling in is trusting us to help them. Sometimes there is an answer, and sometimes there's not. But even just knowing that there might not be that one resource could be something that is enlightening. And most of the times what we do is share those resources. That's the main goal. So the follow-up is usually a text message with that information to people.
Okay, and Jay, you have the last question.
Okay, great. I'll be brief. Zenobia, this is the very first question I wrote on my sheet when I walked in here. Right now, there is a big push by U.S. CIS and ICE to actually take away citizenship from people who've had citizenship for many, many years, let alone all this other stuff. And they're reaching back for character references as well as past things that you may have missed on the application, like a misdemeanor kind of stuff. Is that true?
So I have a question for you. For the new test, 128 questions, there is a previous version from 2021 that today is optional. So they are using that version, or is a complete new version?
So from the Federal Register draft that I looked at this morning, it only says to the 128 and make reference to the 2021 set of questions, but also hinted at updating. So I haven't seen what are the new questions, but I think the 2021 version is a good indication of what they are going.
And before I ask my question, this is a really short one. You said they're looking further than 5 years. Is there a stopping point, or they don't? They just said, we're going to look back as far as we want to.
Basically, so technically speaking, right, when any immigrant apply for the green card lawful permanent residency, you have already gone through, background check investigation. So let's just say that it should stop when you got your green card, however long it is, right? So let's say if someone waited for 25 years to apply for citizenship, so it could be that entire 25 years. But I have also known cases that they just go back, way back, right? So even though USCIS investigated everyone when they apply for green card, that should be the stopping point. Like whatever bad stuff that they think that you've done, they've forgiven it, waived it. So it should not be an issue. And this came up with a lot of people apply for adjustment of status. right? That is a process we go through a thorough background check. If there was any issue, it has been resolved at that point, and it should not come up when you apply for citizenship. But I've known cases that it came back up again. So need a lawyer to represent you in those situations to help out with that.
And final, I've been having people approach me and they have been asking, they understand like the criminal background part of it, but a lot of people have been asking, what about mental health issues? Some people don't have any criminal background, but you know, obviously living in a different place, there's been some mental health issues. So have we taken a look at that? Does that hurt them?
And whoever on the panel wants to address that, it's a very good question.
The short answer is should not. Mental health is not a crime. It's not a reflection of the person's good moral character. It's a medical condition. But I would definitely get medical kind of support in the process. For example, if someone has been homeless, it could be interpreted as a bad reflection of good moral character. So having a medical provider to kind of help connect the dot, help explain would be helpful.
Anybody want to address that? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so the question around mental health is not on the application itself, so like Zubi said, it shouldn't come up. But I think as long as the individual has like letters of support from like places that they volunteer, or just showing that they have been on a journey of recovery and have been stable, I think that's always going to be helpful for them to have handy and ready during the interview. It shouldn't come up, but it is a discretionary application where the officer has discretion. So
they can discriminate against like mental health stays at a hospital?
they shouldn't, because it's not something that comes up in the application itself. That is not a question in the application.
Okay.
What should be asked around good moral character is what is on the application itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good question. We have time for 2 more questions, and then, okay, Mr. Yagosa. And then,
my name is Sebu Saladebra, and I came to this country over 4 decades ago. I'm an immigrant. I can't even remember what my transition.
Domestic violence is really bad, so it doesn't matter how long it's been. But USCIS changed the rule. It has been sort of in the practice for a few months, or maybe for a year now, that they look beyond the 5-year statutory time frame. But with this new policy update, not only you have to show that you have no negative implication of your good moral character, you have to show that you have positive attributes, meaning that, I don't know, you volunteer in, your religious institution, your school, your community, anything, then you have to show that you could positively contribute to the community. They call American values, undefined. So the good moral character piece could be a very big challenge for people, right? So since January, I've been advising people, even if it's like a theft that was dismissed, is still going to be a problem. Please just wait for 5 years. Now I cannot even give the advice anymore because this is kind of open-ended problem. So some people.
Good music.
Nice music.
Very good music.
So that is one kind of challenge. We don't have a whole lot of guidance, but we know that it vested in the immigration officers a lot of discretion. That makes the process a lot more challenging for a lot of people. And then the second thing is, how do they know that you have negative good moral moral character, even though you have no criminal issue. They go talk to your neighbors. This is August 22nd policy update. They are going to investigate you, talk to your neighbors over the last 5 years. If you even know who your neighbors are within the last 5 years. Or go to your place of employment to see if you are a good person, right? So people have been using social media a lot, since, I don't know when, since Facebook became the thing. Please advise people to be judicious. You can have a Facebook account to spy on other people, but please don't post anything because anything can be used against you.
Oh my God.
So be ultra careful. We believe in First Amendment. It is still a constitutional right. Doesn't matter who you are, what immigration status you have First Amendment rights.
Okay. We want to leave 10 minutes before the break for questions. So do you have a final challenge?
So the final challenge is, through Give Citizenship a Boost, we have been collecting surveys from clients who have been assisted through the process. So I'm proud to say that we have collected over 800 responses from participants since October 1st, 2023. So we have data to compare.
That's fascinating.
So starting January of this year, we've been seeing a dramatic increase of survey respondents reporting that they're facing more hostility from immigration officers during the citizenship interview. 4-fold increase. So what is that? What does that say? And also the percentage of people that said that emotional support from someone to hold their hand, to be present with them at the citizenship interview is very important. That percentage has gone up. So what does that say? All of us that are providing citizenship support services, and all these people who want to volunteer to support immigrants, that is your opportunity. Accompany someone to the citizenship interview, even though you can only be there, you cannot say anything, but your presence is important, especially in the day and age when people are facing a lot of hostility through this process. So that's the last challenge that I managed to do.
Well, let's give all our speakers a hand. So many questions. One question before we started that I wanted to suggest you wanted to ask.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Do you have any news about whether or not natural birth rights will be up for political debate, or if it will be just American culture?
That's an excellent question. Right now, there are
Nothing.
4 different court of appeals considering the issue, and the consensus has been that the 14th Amendment has settled that question. Anyone who's born in the United States on the United States soil, including Puerto Rico, is a born citizen. That is a right that was extended to African Americans after the emancipation, and is extended to children born to immigrant parents, even though the immigrant parents are documented. And this is the case 1898, Wong Kim Ark versus United States. I can vouch for the Supreme Court. But right now, it's still the law that if you're born on the soil of the United States, you are a citizen by birth.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
There's the Immigrant Resource Hotline. What's the number, Daniela? 1-833?
468-4664. 1-833-468-4664.
But I think that Mr. Gus is also asking us as a media network to be more communicative about changes on immigration application, citizenship application. Did you want to speak to that yourself? But we're running short on time.
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Aziz Wilson from the city of Houston. I'm a Native American. In regards
welcome.
to Africa and African community here in Greater Houston, the city of Houston has been supporting everyone in this city. Our number is 311. You can call us and get access to citizenship, DAPA, TPS, BAWA, asylum, you name it. We do support all communities. In terms of refugees and immigrants who come to this country, the journey is not only about citizenship. The young lady here mentioned about mental health. A lot of refugees have PTSD because they went through the journey of a lifetime. It's not easy. Having said that, mental health is one of the largest issues that we experience. But on the other hand, Harris Health really had a great program where refugees and immigrants can get access to those services. Finally, I just wanted to mention one more thing, that it's not only about citizenship or applying for citizenship, but the people who come to our office really need to know that beyond citizenship, who are they? When they open up for you, it's not only financial need, there's a lot more we can learn from them and support them. For the other communities, in terms of Africans, if you look at Somali Bantus, they were treated like slaves in their own country by other Somalis. But saying that, we have people who have been in Houston over 10 years, 20 years, who never went to school in their own language. That is a big barrier that we have. So how do we cater to their language? The same with Congo, Congo-Brazzaville, Congo-Kinshasa. I can go on and on, but to say that we really need to cater when it comes to language access, we need to work on that. Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry, Ms. Tanny.
You have a question, and then we'll go. We're not forgetting.
Well, quick, first of all, I think it's critical for all the media to continue to promote that, despite all the challenges, because I think we don't want to have a perception that there's so many challenges that you can't really apply. Knowing that there are challenges and they're going to continue to grow. I know you mentioned moral support. I think it's very much with all the challenges that we're seeing, legal support is what is required. Are there legal representatives that can support that? Because attorney fees are very expensive for people who are trying to apply for citizenship.
Absolutely, Oscar can also speak to that. So Harris County funds something called Immigration, Naturalization, Legal Services. There are 3 organizations under the program that help people provide legal assistance in the citizenship process. Is Justice for All Immigrants, Galveston Houston Immigrant Representation Project, and Baker River.
Can you do a Zoom interview with Zenobia just on that point? Because the 2 things you talk about, access to legal services, the hotline, everybody here, there's so much information. I mean, here we are 6 months into this, and I'm learning stuff I didn't know. So this is lifelong learning. Thank you.
But there is more than just those 3. There's a lot of organizations that provide legal services at no cost. So again, you can call the hotline, or you can also go to houston.naturalizations.org, and there's a guide, and it shows you a map on where these organizations are located, because one of the things, like Kanisha mentioned, transportation is not easy for our communities, especially the elderly. Metro doesn't go to Pasadena, right? So those barriers are there, and so there's organizations all around the greater Houston area where people can access a lot better. So you can look for that resource guide on our website as well.
Access to legal services.
Houston.naturalizenow.org.
Access to groups that can help reduce the fees or waive the fees. Huge barrier. And then transportation. I mean, this is stuff we'll definitely try to sort of single out and make easily digestible to share.
I am sorry. Semu Alimasi. And I founded an organization called Co-Afro. Co-Afro is Congolese and African Community Center. I don't have a building that is my property. But what we do is we say we build community. We bring people together to learn and to protect. Oh, that's good. So I was saying that Co-op, for what we do, we connect communities. I was born in Congo. My wife was born in Congo. My kids are born here. And the grandkids will be born here. So how do we connect? How do we keep the Congolese culture in America? That's where Co-Afro came up. To keep the culture balanced, for them to know where we came from, at the same moment to integrate in the land where we are. And in that language we say we protect, promote, and preserve our culture. And the other language that we have in Co-Afro, we say unity within diversity is the beauty and the strength of our country and our community. So what we need, speaking about the citizenship and everything, we have opportunity for the trust in a community. We are at the very grassroots level, and the trust that we have with people who are not only Congolese. Let me jump to this story before I finish this sentence. I used to be a settlement caseworker or a refugee caseworker for 10 years. I remember this lady, she was a single mom from El Salvador. She had 2 boys. She sent me a message a week before we started the first circle, saying, Salem, I have become a citizen. And my question, she's not Congolese, but she felt the courage to tell me first, and the conclusion behind that was she trusted me. And that the trust we are building in a community. Speaking their language, telling them the importance, because some are hesitating. The language, yes, is one of them, and others still fighting between 2 countries. Should we be American? Should we stay this part? One day we'll be going home, and my country maybe doesn't accept double nationalities. So we had to tell them in the language they understand the benefit of becoming a citizen for them to step up. And that was seen because so many people came, said we are ready to go. And we all refer them to Janet and her group, that they are taking care of them. And that's what we do in Co-op.
Thank you. Very eloquently stated. I'm going to go to Ashley Borham. Is it Borham?
If you speak Spanish or French, it is. Ashley Borjan, or if you do speak those languages, Borham is perfectly fine.
I had an Uber driver this morning named Angel. And of course it was Angel. Yeah. So I was particularly worried about your name. Thank you for joining us, and you're coming from the Literacy Council. We're very anxious to hear what you think the groups are that you work with who are most kind of weary or worried and slow to apply.
Thank you for having us as well. I'm a very small woman with a very husky voice, so I'm sure you will be able to hear me very clearly. And I want to preference whatever it is that you mark. I have a tendency to tear up talking about this. I have a mixed status family, so it's not that I'm brokenhearted. I'm very empowered and passionate about this. So I don't mind if you say she sniffled when you quote me. We in the Literacy Council of Fort Bend County, we serve adults ages 18 and up who are pursuing literacy in a facet that is not just being able to read. We're building confidence, self-esteem in their pursuit in digital literacy, personal and professional capacities. So when it came to this pilot program, a lot of what we interacted with in terms of our usual student demographic and the students who shared this via word of mouth, we saw a multitude of participants who were here well over 20, 25 years, So an older demographic who came for various reasons. It was not always associated with my spouse is the reason this occurred. Some came because they were refugees and sought asylum. Some had been here and came from an English-speaking nation, but they didn't have the confidence that how they communicated was sufficient enough. So it was never a thing of abrupt apprehension because it solely rested on language capacities.
We've been working with a New Immigrants campaign since 2011. So we've had a citizenship program really for that long. And I think the success of this program was to really take what we already have, improve it, and to see how else we can provide that service and that assistance to our community. And so I think the one thing that we learned is that that navigator piece was so important. We had, through the circles, we were finding out why people were hesitant to apply.
You had like focus group.
Yes, we also have the circles that Tanisha had mentioned. Because these are people who may wanted to apply, but were hesitant, didn't want to apply, or maybe they had issues, they had worries, especially with a lot of the new policies that were coming out. Some people just held back their application also. And the navigator piece was important because they were able to sit one-on-one with the navigator and really talk about what their worries were, so that they can feel that, okay, that you answered my question, I think I'm now comfortable and I'm ready because I have your support. And so that was really a big piece of this project. And we're continuing with the navigation portion of the project because that was something that was really important to the community members, was to have someone to go to especially a lot of them had legal questions. They really did.
Right.
That's what they were afraid of.
Could you give us one story of one person who crossed the finish line that, like the Melendez family, had hesitated? I remember years ago somebody had waited many, many years because of their language problem. But is it just one example that comes to mind you can share with us?
Well, we actually had, we actually had an individual that was in the circle, and she was hesitant about applying for citizenship. She's actually now naturalized, I think. I have to go back and check that. But you know, when she was in the circle, she had really questions about the whole process itself. And she just wanted to have someone to confirm that she was okay to apply for the process. And I think it only took her like a month or something. She was called really fast.
Okay, this is a key question. I read in the New York Times that USCIS was making the test for citizenship harder. Now, I was going to hold that to ask Zenobia, but we're journalists. The more we get details to help our readers identify with the kind of concerns that would be coming up that you're talking about, the better. And one of the things I always remember from Boat People SOS years ago was the older woman who had failed the test twice. And then she passed because you provided that kind of support, that navigator support. But that's just, okay, now we'll go to Solano Alamasi, who will share the work your organization has been doing with the African diaspora community.
And that Citizenship Support Circle was designed as a 5-week kind of workshop series for those individuals that are immigrants that are ready to start the naturalization process, but maybe don't know what they know, right? Maybe they're not confident, maybe they've taken an ESL class, maybe they need just more information or just a little boost of motivation and self-confidence. So that 5-week workshop series was designed to support those individuals and be more of a resource and information sharing process. To that point, what we learned through various conversations and partnerships is that this navigator, right, this community navigator program is essential to help individuals that are farther along in the citizenship process, meaning that they have their application ready, right? Or they've started their application, but maybe they need connections to other resources to help with the application. Maybe it's legal assistance. And so our navigators work really, really closely through the lead of DPSOS to connect individuals that were farther along in the application process. What was unique about these 2 pilot programs that we attempted to pilot in partnership with the partners is that we targeted those harder to reach community members. And when I say harder to reach, individuals that are in the greater Houston area, but even beyond, Montgomery County, Fort Bend County, right? Even those individuals that are maybe in the greater Houston area, maybe they have refugee status. They're refugees from Western or Eastern and Southern Africa. And so they have a different set of challenges and barriers, right, that are in addition to navigating those processes. Elders across the board, right, from various countries. Elders that maybe struggle with digital literacy, transportation. We targeted specific organizations that work with queer communities, right? Queer individuals that are navigating the citizenship process. So that's kind of the unique lens in which we approach these programs. And then to kind of be the gel that held those programs together was this communications campaign through partnership with Big Oak Tree Media, a lot of the media sources that are here. And so the communications campaign was very targeted, specific, assets and materials and tools and media campaigns through digital sources to really kind of highlight, stories that these community members that are navigating the process could connect to and really see themselves, as a part of, to say, yes, I see myself represented, or this campaign is telling my story, or this social media post, is something, that I can relate to. So as a result, I'm going to reach out to COACRO, right, and see about how I can join that citizenship circle. I'm going to reach out to DPSOS to see how I can connect with one of their navigators. So that's the gist of this project with Albert Design. But I'm going to stop there because these partners that are here, our community partners from Astra, Azeb, ICU, and everybody sitting around this table, they can speak a lot more, to kind of the challenges and the successes that the pilots have had.
I just want to say we introduced a lot of people, and Gabe, who's also here, AJ Devani. So yes, as you said, Angie, this is a community effort. Let's go first to Jeanette Dieppe with Boat People SOS. Briefly, just because time is short and we want to leave a lot of opportunities for our media to talk to you individually. Tell us about what you think was the most successful approach that people has taken, that you would say lessons learned. This is an important lesson from this program.
It was really actually a great program. Participants who had confidence issues. Can I even accomplish this at this point in my life? I'm 64, I'm retired. Can I even remember the information? Do I actually know what is being asked of me? And can I communicate it in confidence in English? So we navigated a lot of that, and in those opportunities of identifying participants for the program, being able to edify them and bolster that you got this, it's no issue. You're gonna enjoy the circles, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and really communicating it with a lot of enthusiasm. It did a lot of mold breaking for us. There were some heavy lifting moments, but that was the biggest thing. They know they're coming to learn. They did not anticipate that they would be built up in ways they didn't imagine. So that is what allowed us to really connect with the older demographic, especially with our facilitators being in our 40s and 50s. Although older, they were older. So they had more life experience, and it can sometimes be a stretch to let them know that you are there to support them and to run alongside them, not ahead of them or to push them if they're not ready.
I want to ask AJ to Johnny from Engage, anything that you want to add? We have worked with Engage for many years as well, and we know you've been on the front lines of citizenship, promoting citizenship. Engage was unable to join the panel today, but I just want to say, if you have 1 minute, 2 minutes, you want to.
Thank you very much, Sammy, and appreciate you all organizing this. And I also apologize that Engage staff is out of town today, and that's why nobody could be here.
Right.
Thank you very much. Looking at the South Asian community and the Arab community that we represent, Engage does, one of the things that we have observed is there are people here who have been here with green cards well over 5 years. Well over 5 years. But are hesitant to apply for citizenship for a myriad of reasons. Some of those reasons are the ones that Engage can assist them with. One of them is they are concerned, like you just mentioned, because of language issues to take that exam or the test. And they are concerned that they are okay with a green card. If they travel, they come back within 6 months, they're all right. If I become a citizen, there may be other issues there may be. So we assist them with that, obviously. The other thing which many people, I'm sure, have also observed is that the filing fee just keeps going up. With the current, $760, there aren't that many families afford that can just come up with $3,000 to do that. And of course, Engage assists them with that also. Some people, for whatever reason, and again, we may hear the same stories, they may have something in their background which is not really problematic, but which they think could be problematic if it's drilled deeper because they did not put it in their initial application.
Absolutely.
And those are the things that we at least have found. We have been working on this area for about 2 to 3 years, supported by Janet Diep of BPSOS and many other folks here from NPNA, as well as Dalbur. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And now we go, honestly, you guys did a great job. Citizenship, well, you think, gee, I know all I need to know, but you brought it back to the forefront with the wonderful emphasis on this is working. Hey guys, if we get more coverage about this out, we can spread the word. This is actually a success story. That is something very rare for us to cover these days. So we're very grateful to all of you for sharing your experience and your expertise. Now we go to the last word. Zenobia Live has been a wonderful resource for us to look at the issues that people have to address as they consider citizenship during an age when being an immigrant has probably never been more risky.
2000, the United States, and we got the TPS because there was an earthquake in El Salvador, and we kept renovating every year, sometimes every year and a half. We have to pay for that, and like my husband said, we applied for the green card in 2016, but in 2024 we decided to apply for the citizenship, and we started the process with taking classes at YMCA, civic classes and YMCA. And after that, Norma, her friend, she worked Willy Juntos, and she connected us with BPSOS, and the lawyer, and she helped us to review our applications, and we decided to send it, submit it, and here we are now. And my process took a little bit longer than my husband, but my interview was on July 9, and my ceremony was on August 20. So I'm a brand new citizenship.
What has encouraged you to do now? As now that you have citizenship, what are you doing now?
I mean, a little bit of my story. I started like every immigrant.
DTVNN से फिल वक्त इतना ही। मजीद खबरों और अपडेट्स के लिए देखते रहें देसी उर्दू टीवी, देसी टीवी USA और DTVNN.
Now I am American. I have citizen.
I still have my Salvadorian passport and now I have my USA passport. I am a citizen of the US.
Khi cầm cái hộ chiếu Mỹ, cô rất là tự hào mình là công dân Mỹ.
La ciudadanía para mí significa oportunidades.
Si ya tienen el tiempo que pueden hacerse ciudadanas, que lo hagan.
No pierde nada uno con intentarlo.
Como dicen en México, echándole ganas, todo se puede.
Neurological care is a pressing healthcare challenge in Pakistan. That's why Helping Hand USA is building Kind R, a world-class hospital with 130 plus clinics that is set to establish new standards for neurological care in Pakistan. As the first phase nears completion, anticipation is growing for the launch in the second half of 2025. Give zakat and sadaqah through Helping Hand USA today and join this historic endeavor to redefine future healthcare in Pakistan.